We meet Neil, an English writer and schoolteacher. He is lonely, though he has a faithful four-legged friend, a dog named Dennis. Neil has a strange dream. He is being interviewed by a host at an award ceremony for his best-selling novel. He says he achieved this by looking into his own soul, that he worked on the book for 5 long years, and that it will open the doors of human perception. But just as he is about to begin his speech, a dog suddenly barks at him, causing other dogs to start acting up, and the entire room fills with hundreds of dogs. He is jerked out of this strange dream by Dennis's loud barking. Someone is persistently knocking on the door. On the threshold stands an irritated neighbor, Fiona.
You don't control your bloody dog. I am going to get it sent to Battersea Dogs Home.
Neil has to immediately take the dog outside. During a walk with Dennis, Neil runs into another neighbor, Catherine West, a woman he is secretly in love with. It turns out this is the same Catherine who was the host in his dream. He awkwardly tells her about the dream where she presented him with a literary award for his novel. Catherine kindly asks if he has finished the book. Neil admits that the novel is not just unfinished. When Catherine disappears behind the door of her apartment, Neil and Dennis continue on their way. Later, Neil meets Ray at school, his best friend and colleague, to borrow some money from him. Ray jokes,
"So when do you make your move on Miss Booker Prize downstairs then?"
Oh, I don't.
Neil replies, "I have Dennis." Meanwhile, somewhere in the depths of the universe, the 1972 probe is intercepted by an alien spacecraft. Members of the Intergalactic Council gather to decide humanity's fate. They look over the brief description of humans. One council member insists on observing cosmic law. It is necessary to conduct a test to determine whether humanity is worthy of joining their cosmic community. As a test, they will give a random person unlimited power and the ability to do absolutely anything. Meanwhile, Catherine is having a difficult day. She works as a reviewer at a TV studio and is trying to completely break off relations with a persistent man named Grant. She is required to prepare questions to humiliate a famous writer on live TV, despite the fact that she admires his work. Her boss dismisses all her objections, stating that viewers care not about literature, but about a bright personality. Later, Neil sees Catherine in a supermarket, and she looks depressed. As a sign of attention, he offers her a handkerchief and tries to make her laugh with a silly joke.
I also offer support and counselling on dips, dried fruit and pasta sauces.
At this very moment that the Galactic Council finally approves their plan, an object on Earth will be chosen randomly. The chosen person will be able to do whatever they want. As a result of the meeting, the chosen person is Neil, who at this time is riding his bicycle. Right after he falls off his bicycle, he suddenly acquires abilities.
Fuck you!
Arriving at school, the unsuspecting Neil receives a reprimand from the headmaster, Director Robbins, for being too frequently late. Then he comes to class, where he sees that the students are having fun without a teacher. Since he doesn't want to bother them, the man decides to read a newspaper. During lunch break, he eats in the school cafeteria and complains to Ray about the unbearable students from Class 10C. Ray asks a question. What would Neil wish for if he could have anything?
Oh, that's easy. I would make alien spaceships destroy 10C.
I want a spaceship to come and destroy 10C. And immediately there is a powerful explosion. The alien spacecraft fires a beam, causing the entire class to perish. The aliens, observing from their ship, contact the operator who fired the laser and strictly remind him test subjects are not to be destroyed before the evaluation is complete. After this, our hero returns home, though he still can't believe what happened. Strangely enough, he orders Dennis's excrement to clean itself up, and of course, this happens.
Finish.
Feeling embarrassed, the hero decides to drink a bottle of whiskey because he thinks he's having some kind of hallucinations. Unfortunately, the bottle falls and spills into the sink.
Go back in the bottle.
And it works. Now he understands that he can do anything simply by moving his hand and saying his wish. So the hero wants his dirty whiskey to be replaced with new whiskey, but unfortunately, the bottle begins to move on its own to the nearest store and smashes the entrance glass, triggering an alarm. Police appear. Neil begins to panic and wishes for Dennis to help. As a result, the dog attacks one of the officers, and he is instantly transported to the kitchen, where he finds himself eating dog food from a bowl. Returning to his home, Neil suddenly remembers the previous incident in the classroom. To fix the death of his students, he wishes for everyone who died to return to life. After some time, all the dead rise and become zombies, and then they head to our hero's house,
Let the explosion never have happened.
which cancels all previous wishes. Finally, the hero returns to the time when he was having lunch in the school cafeteria, listening to Ray talk about his crush on a girl named Dorothy Pringle. Meanwhile, Catherine is at work talking to a producer when Grant suddenly appears.
I came all the way to England to see you. Doesn't that show you how much I care about you?
Neil returns to class. For fun, he decides to test his hallucination and wishes for 10C to become an exemplary class full of students eager for knowledge. To his surprise, he discovers that it worked. The power is real, and the classroom becomes quiet as the students are happy to study. Now Neil begins to use his abilities for small personal gains. He wishes for the stern school director Robbins to be kinder to him.
Neil, so good to see you.
And he suddenly addresses him with unusual politeness, shocking the entire teaching staff. Then he fulfills Ray's wish, making Dorothy Pringle literally worship him, who is too shy to tell her that he has liked her for a long time. When he returns home, he wants strange things.
Me be President of the United States.
At first glance, nothing happened, but after a couple of minutes, some people appeared, threw him into a car, and took him somewhere. It turns out that the president is being hunted. Then Neil wished to return home and become himself. Then he wishes to have Albert Einstein's body, then an athletic body. That same night, Neil wishes to see Catherine, and the floor of his apartment suddenly disappears, revealing a view of her room, one floor below. After her frightened scream, he immediately restores the floor and erases her memory of the incident. The next day, he tries to explain everything to Ray, who, naturally, is skeptical of his story. To prove the truth of his words, Neil orders the teaching skeleton to tell about its life.
You'll never believe this, but I was a conjurer. I went by the name of the Great Alfredo.
Then he orders himself to jump out the window and lands right in the director's arms.
What's this?
Neil also creates a bouquet of flowers in Ray's hand and prepares the most delicious sandwiches in the world. Meanwhile, Catherine's situation with her obsessive ex-boyfriend Grant escalates. He unexpectedly appears at her place and announces that he has rented an apartment for two. When Catherine firmly makes it clear that she is not interested, he simply ignores her words and throws the keys at her feet before leaving. Later that evening, a distressed Catherine sits at home with a friend, drinks wine, and complains about the strange men in her life. The conversation turns to the good-natured neighbor Neil.
He's attractive. He's kind. Well, then fuck him.
The friend suggests that he is most likely gay, but Catherine dismisses this and admits that she likes him. The friend jokingly suggests she just go upstairs and hook up with him. Global power failure occurs in the Galactic Council. To fix this, they need to temporarily take back the power given to Neil. Therefore, the Galactic Force fails to make Catherine fall in love when our hero utters a new wish.
Catherine from downstairs be madly in love with me.
However, Catherine accidentally knocks on his door. "Hi. You're not gay, are you?" "No, I don't think so," Neil replies. Catherine's ex-boyfriend, Colonel Grant, observes all of this from a window. The next morning, the superpowers return to Neil. He wakes up and smiles, remembering what happened last night. The hero also wishes for the weather on the streets to be like Los Angeles, and orders his clothes to dress themselves. When he has breakfast, he wants his dog to be able to speak like a rational person. The dog's first words turn out to be quite simple.
Biscuits.
A conversation develops between them. Dennis tells what dogs really want, talks about bitches, and the desire to rub against the owner's leg. Neil panics and says "Dennis, be quiet!" Soon after this, Catherine overhears his conversation with Dennis, who is shouting, "Fuck her, Neil!" Thus, she thinks he has another boyfriend, and immediately leaves him. In a panic, Neil wishes for Dennis to become a regular dog again and rushes after Catherine. On the way, he is stopped by a worried Ray, begging him to cancel the wish. It turns out Ray's situation has gone too far. Dorothy's worship has led to a crowd literally following Ray, considering him a living god. She erects altars at school with his photographs. There is no time, and Neil hastily turns Ray into a sausage to get past him in the crowd. When he finally catches up with Catherine at the bakery, she refuses to talk to him. Their argument is interrupted by a cashier who accuses Neil of stealing the sausage he is holding. However, after paying for his friend,
Jesus, Neil!
Observing this from afar, the aliens from the council note the test subject is not using his power for good at all. Catherine returns home and discovers that Grant has broken in and is waiting for her. In horror, she locks the door from the outside and shouts for him to leave.
Get out of my flat, Grant!
Neil, hearing the noise, suggests a plan. She can pretend to leave, then quietly sneak into his place and wait until Grant leaves. Neil tries to comfort her. He prepared soup, which she calls the most delicious in her life. Taking advantage of the moment, he tries to explain everything, that he has power, that he can do anything. He even taught the dog to speak. He says that if she wants a bigger desk at work, he'll arrange it. Catherine looks at him with disbelief when suddenly Dennis tries to warn them. Grant is climbing up the outside wall of the building, and then Grant bursts through the window with a crash, holding a gun in his hand. "I'm her fiancé," he declares. "You're not my fiancé, Grant." Using his power, Neil breaks Grant's arm, then fixes it, showing his ability to fulfill wishes whenever he says a wish and makes a hand gesture. Catherine prefers to leave them to sort it out, but when Neil loses his vigilance, Grant knocks him out with a flower pot. Catherine learns that she really was given a new desk. In the apartment, Grant has meanwhile tied Neil to a chair and prepared a list of selfish wishes. He threatens to shoot Dennis if Neil doesn't say them out loud. Grant forces Neil to fulfill some selfish and absurd wishes. Give all native Englishmen huge ears and duck feet, turn himself into 500 gold bars, make all traffic lights green, and police uniforms pink. Catherine and Ray finally reach Grant's apartment and burst in at the moment when he forces Neil to read the last, most brutal wish, that Catherine would fall madly in love with Grant.
Don't!
Or the dog gets it!
Don't let him shoot me, Neil!
But the wish comes true, and she pounces on Grant. Dennis frees himself, and Neil reverses all the wishes. He turns Grant into a dog. Then he returns Catherine to normal and cancels Dorothy Pringle's fanatical worship, who was close to being ritually killed by her cult.
Get lost, you creep!
Nevertheless, Catherine and Ray decide to leave our hero alone because they are already disappointed in him. The next day, Neil tries to talk to Catherine, but she says she cannot trust a person who is capable of changing reality at will. That same evening, Neil admits to Dennis that it seems everyone hates him. He realizes that he has spent all his abilities exclusively on himself. Discouraged by this fact, our hero gets the idea to use his powers to solve world problems. Having decided to fix everything, he sets a goal to tackle the problems of the whole world. He wishes to end world hunger, giving all people in the world as much food as they want. Then he says that wars should not happen for any reason. Together with Dennis, they turn on the news to see how everything has changed, and they see that all his good intentions have turned into a catastrophe. Obesity breaks out in the world due to excess food.
Where the average weight is now 300 pounds and rising.
The entire surface of the planet is cluttered with residential buildings. And since there are no more reasons for war, several countries declare wars simply for no reason. The planet also falls into a global ice age. In horror, Neil cancels each of his wishes. Feeling depressed by his personal life and honest attempts to make the world better, he tries to end his life. But when he jumps into the river, Dennis also follows him. Consequently, Neil is forced to save his dog, including himself as well. After this, Dennis suddenly says that Neil should give him the power, since he never thought about anything selfish.
And being a dog, all I want to do is follow orders. I'll do what you tell me to.
"Dennis, you're a genius," exclaims Neil. Meanwhile, the aliens decide that Earth is unworthy. It turns out that the Galactic Council has a different morality than humans. They consider superiority to be good and weakness to be evil. Neil's constant desire to end wars and make other people's lives better is a sign of weakness. Therefore, they decide to destroy Earth using a fatal weapon. Remembering all the suffering this power brought to his master, Dennis sadly apologizes for what he is about to do. And at this very moment, when the alien's beam has almost reached Earth, Dennis makes his only wish to destroy the source of power forever. The wish overtakes the beam, reaches the alien ship, and causes its self-destruction. The next morning, having no powers, but with complete confidence, Neil invites Catherine on a date, to which she agrees. In the hallway, the corgi that Grant was turned into begs Dennis to return him to human form.
Turn me back, Dan.
I can't. I like you as you are.
Dennis looks at him and with a wise smirk says, "Well, nobody's perfect."